Hello, friends and fellow board gamers. Welcome back to Board Games with Rob. In this video, I'm going to be giving an overview and review of a game that I recently got sent to me by Dux Somnium Games. And it's a game that I wouldn't normally be intrigued or inspired to play just based upon the theme alone. But my wife is a huge Jane Austen fan. She's read all of her books and oh my gosh, she's into that genre, the Little House on the Prairie, the Jane Austen books, the Little Women. She loves Downton Abbey. I, introduced her to Obsession. And so anyway, when I saw this game was coming out, I was really intrigued just for the theme alone to be able to play with my wife. And when it came out, I was really intrigued because it wasn't a heavy game. My wife does absolutely strays away from heavy games, but if it's kind of a medium light game, she'll at least try it with me. And so this is a game that I really was anxious to get my hands on. Do I like it? Is it not heavy enough for me? Is it fun to play? Is it a game that if you're not a Jane Austen fan that you'd want to get? Let's go down to the table. Let me tell you about how it plays, and we'll come up here and I'll answer those questions. All right, so I have the board set up. It's a very big board, but it's a very beautiful board. Now, I'm not familiar with the Jane Austen universe, so I don't know how true to nature these settings are or the artwork is, but I will say the artwork is just absolutely stunning. The board doesn't look cluttered. It doesn't look, I mean, it just looks, I guess, satisfying. The components are just really nice, subtle but elegant and deluxe component. These are wooden. I'm kind of getting into my thoughts on review of the game right out of the bat as far as the components concerned, but it just looks very nice out on the board. Now the board is set up and it's mainly a card game. There are a variety of different decks of cards. Right up here, you have the endearment track. That's kind of your victory points. The person with the most endearment at the end of the game will win the game. You have four different decks at the top. You have all the way off to the left, you have your character deck, and that's where you will draw these characters to populate these settings. Next to that, you're going to have dress cards. Now, everybody's going to start with four dresses, and all these they're going to have some of the different traits on them. There are 6 traits in the game, and they're represented by these different trait icons. Every heroine is going to start with 3 of them. In this case, I will start out with wit, honor, and I will start out with vigor. That's tracked by these 3 icons. Now, there's another 3 that I have access to. There's a total of 6, but I don't start out with those at the beginning of the game. All the dress cards are going to have one of those traits and a value. So in this case, I've got capability, and it's at a value 8. All the dress cards, other than being individual dresses with gorgeous art, are just going to have one of the traits with a numeric value on that card. All right, then you have the persuasion cards. Now, persuasion cards you're going to get at the beginning of the round. They're going to give, they're each one, persuasion is kind of the currency of the game. Each one of these cards is going to be worth at the very least 1 persuasion and possibly 2 if it's used for a particular action. Like some of these will be worth 1 persuasion in any circumstance, but maybe 2 if you're buying dresses. More on that here in a little bit. And then lastly, you have these plot cards. Well, second to last, you'll have these plot cards. You'll reveal one of these at the beginning of every chapter. The game is played over a number of chapters until what triggers the end of the game is somebody getting married. Jane Austen books are apparently renowned for the heroine in the book getting married off by the end of the book. So that is what triggers the end of the game. You get 5 endearment for marrying a character with an extra 2 if you marry the character that your heroine is attracted to or known in that book to marry. In this case, I'm playing with Elizabeth Bennet. She's from Pride and Prejudice, and her person that she wants to marry is Mr. Darcy. She'll get an extra 2 points if she can marry Mr. Darcy. And then obviously you have some setting cards down here with the setting card deck all the way over to the left. So that's the setup of the board. Underneath each setting, you're going to have a number of characters based upon the player count. With this being this is based off of being a 3-player game. I only have one character board out here, but I have it set up for a 3-player game. That will get you 4 settings with a minimum of 2 cards per each, 2 character cards for each setting. Going back to your player board, this is just something simple to be able to track your different traits. You you can pick, they have these portrait cards that you can pick. I just picked one at random. And then, of course, your character that has its beginning 3 traits with some special abilities. Every character is going to have the same 3 special abilities. It's just tailored specifically to the different traits that are chosen for that character. And then this is the first player token, this really nice wooden token. So the game is fairly simple to play. Everybody at the beginning of the game, in player order, you're going to go to town at the very beginning of that chapter. Each round is quote unquote a chapter. Once you go to town, you can draw a persuasion card. Now that is worth 1 persuasion point. You start with 4 dress cards. You can do a number of things during the town phase. Now the town phase will only happen at the beginning of the chapter. One of the things you can do is purchase dresses from the dress deck, and they cost 1 persuasion. So I could spend a persuasion card, discard it, and grab a dress. There is a hand limit of 5. Now, certain cards will give you an extra persuasion, be worth 2 persuasion if you're taking that action. So I might spend that card for 2, which would allow me to buy 2 dresses. That's just one of the town actions I can do. And then the other 3 actions that I can do during this time in the round is I can invite a character for 1 persuasion. I can just add a character from the character deck to any one of these settings if I'm not happy with the characters that are there. Maybe I'm trying to hunt for a particular symbol. That'll make more sense here in just a little bit. I can leave a calling card. For 3 persuasion, I can go through the discard deck and search for a particular character. Now that's going to be important because over the course of a chapter, you're going to be interacting with these different characters at settings based upon special abilities and traits that you want to level up and actions that you're wanting to take. And maybe the character that you're wanting to marry isn't interacted with that round, and all characters that aren't interacted with are discarded. So you might want to hunt through the discard deck to bring that character out so that you have the option of marrying him later on in the game. If that's the case, during this part of the town phase, you'd spend 3 persuasion and be able to hunt for that character from the deck. In the same manner, if that character hasn't come out yet from the deck, you would do sending a correspondence action, and that would actually cost you 5 persuasion. It's a little bit more to invite somebody new from the deck that hasn't come out than somebody that's already come out and been discarded. Anyway, those are all the actions that you can do at the town hall. Everybody will take a turn at the town hall, and then once it comes back around, in player order again, somebody will take their pawn and choose a setting to interact with. So let's say that I just pick, oh, for grins, I'm going to interact with this setting here. When I visit a setting, I have the option of playing a dress card from my hand face down. Now, why would I do that? Well, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, notice each setting has a particular trait, and a lot of times they're going to have an ability. Now, this card, it doesn't have an ability, but it does have a trait. This one does have an ability. If I play the dress card that matches that trait, in this case I am, and you have to do that, so it's kind of an honor system because you're playing this face down. The reason you're playing it face down is you don't want people to see that number there. So if you play a dress card, it has to match the trait, and then if you do that, you get to run the ability of that setting. In this case, I would be able to draw a character card from the deck and place them at any setting on the board. So I would do that action, and then it would go to the next person. They would go to a particular setting. Let's say that they went over here and maybe they don't play a dress card. They wouldn't get to interact with that setting. Once everybody has played their character pawns to the settings, Then you start at the leftmost setting and go across, and any setting that has a player pawn there, you get to choose one of the characters to interact with. Now, if you're the only one there, you have free reign. You can choose whatever character you want. However, if let's say two people went to the same location, then a rivalry happens. What you're going to do is you're going to, if people played a dress, you'll flip them over and you will add the corresponding value of the trait on your character card. So in this case, I'm at 1 wit here plus 9. I have a total of 10. The other character would do the same, and whoever has the highest value would get to go first when picking the character. So I might, I would, let's say, pick this character, and then I would interact with that character. Now, I would get to do its ability. In this case, it is +1 endearment, and I would get to go up the charm track. So I would get to go up the charm track. Now, because I don't have charm, I would actually just put this out onto the board. Now, if that character has a trait that matches the setting trait, in this case he does, then on a lot of these cards, there is a bottom action as well. This one has get 1 dress and 1 persuasion and go up the wit track. So I would go up the wit track, I'd get a persuasion card, and I'd grab another dress card. Not all characters have a bottom effect. Like, for example, well, these do. This one does not. This one just has getting a dress and going up a trait. So I would not get rewarded if that one matched. It doesn't so much matter if they don't have a trait that matches that. But anyway, now I've interacted with it. Now now this character would go, he only has the option of interacting with this character. If there were 3 here, the third person would be out of luck because there's no other characters to interact with. So that's why sometimes there are going to be abilities that will let you to move settings. Sometimes you want to watch and make sure you're playing the highest dress card you can if you really want to interact with a character there. Sometimes there's abilities that will allow you to look at the value of the opponent's dress card there. I mean, it's really kind of neat the way that works. Now, at the end of, once everybody's done that, then you will flip over any settings that you have visited. You'll take your pawns back, and then you'll rinse and repeat, but only playing the setting, only being able to visit the settings that are available. Now, I should say, if a character was not interacted with, you would flip them over. And that's going to be important here in a second. So we'd repeat the round. Now, we only have 2 locations to go to. So at the very least, you're going to have to double up on one of them. And then you'd rinse and repeat. You'd go through and visit characters. And then at the end, once all locations have been visited, that's going to trigger the end of the chapter. So you'll discard all these settings and you'll discard any characters that weren't interacted with. You'll then draw out new settings. You'll collect the cards that were visited. You'll add a card. You'll shuffle them, and then you'll start placing them out at the settings, one at a time per setting, and then restarting. And then based upon player count, you have that minimum requirement of characters at each setting. In a 3-player game, that's 2. I need to draw 3 more characters from the deck and then place them out to ensure that 2-card minimum. Then I would reveal a new plot, and I would rinse and repeat, starting with the town phase. And I'm going to keep doing that, gaining endearment throughout the game until one character has married. At that point, you will finish off the chapter, and then the game will end. All right, folks, that's Endearment. It's a really simple game. There's not a lot of crunchiness to it, but there's a lot of strategic decisions. There's a lot of player interaction in this. Now, one of the things I didn't mention during the playthrough is in order to marry a character, you have to be at least 5 in each of the 3 traits on your heroine card to be able to marry that character. And then as a free action, you can take the marry action and marry that person at the end of the round when after you're done interacting. And it's so you might be wanting to level up certain traits which require matching traits of characters in certain settings so that you can get their second bonus. And it just it's really neat the way the cards play off one another. And the different the round cards that give you different abilities in each round are really neat. They're not earth shattering. I mean, a lot of times you'll get a reward if you're at a particular level in a trait, and that's not going to reward early game opportunities. Sometimes you'll get a dress card if you want a rivalry. They're not big, huge game-breaking things. I wish maybe they were a little bit more fun, but I mean, they're fun, and there's a lot of expansions for this. But for the base game alone, I just wish those plot cards were a little more meaningful. But I mentioned this during the playthrough. The artwork is just phenomenal. I'm not a Jane Austen fan at all. My wife is, and she just adored the game. She loved the artwork. She loves these characters. I mean, they're very meaningful for her and bring back memories of reading the books. Now, a lot of these characters are familiar for her, and it's not a heavyweight game. This is one that's very attractive to her that she was able to pick up very quickly, and one that just had enough of a challenge to it that made it fun. I enjoyed playing it with her. I enjoyed the different combos that you can make if you're playing the right dress card. And sometimes oh man, if I didn't play a high enough dress card and somebody else did, and you go to that rivalry and then they pick the one you want, it's like, oh man, you're like, ah. But um but at least, unless you have more players than you do characters at a setting, typically you get to pick another character and at least get something out of it. But yeah, a lot of times when you pick a setting, you're not only you're trying to maximize the character with the setting to make that trait match to be able to impact that second level on that character card to be more meaningful for you. And typically, you want to raise up that particular trait that you're looking for to marry that character. And I like how you're getting those dress cards. The persuasion cards are fun. They give you some really neat game breaking abilities. Like I like the one that allows you to see the value of a face down card at a location. So I can, before I choose my dress card, I can, before a duel, I can look at what they played there to know if I'm going to be able to win that rivalry. And do I need to play a higher dress card than that person? Or maybe in a rivalry, it'll boost you by a couple, but you can only do that if you're at least a level 3 in that particular trait. So sometimes you're wanting to get up traits that aren't necessarily meaningful for you because you have a persuasion card that requires you to be at a certain level. So it's a fun romp through it. The game doesn't take forever to play. It's fun to play. Folks, I rate this an 8. It's one that I'm happy to have in my collection. It's one that I enjoy playing with my wife, and that's always a positive. And it's one that I enjoy playing with other gamers. Would this would this appeal to somebody who's not a Jane Austen fan? Well, if you look over at the picture here in the corner, I played this over the 4th of July with 2 guys, and they had fun. We all had fun playing this together. Was it the best game we'd ever played? No, it wasn't, but we had a lot of fun, and they would play it again. So I would say if you're not a Jane Austen fan, this isn't something that you're going to want to run to the store and pick up to get a copy for yourself. It's definitely one that I would encourage you playing with somebody. If you saw it at a board game event or at a convention, I would definitely watch or maybe get into a play, see if it's something that you'd like. If you're a Jane Austen fan, this is a no-brainer. And there's plenty of guys that are in the Jane Austen books. And if you're one of them, this is definitely a game that's going to be intriguing to you and one that you're definitely going to want in your collection. I'm not a Jane Austen fan, but I really enjoyed this game. It's one that I'm going to want to keep in my collection, definitely because it appeals to my wife, but it's one that, hey, I pulled out with the guys and I had a lot of fun as well. But it's one that I would caution you to running out and purchasing yourself if you're not into this genre typically. I don't know that this would be a heavy enough game to attract you. And so I would just recommend playing it yourself before playing it before you buy it if you're not a Jane Austen fan, or maybe watch another person that has a playthrough video of it to see if it's something that would appeal to you. Anyway, folks, that's Endearment. I hope that you found something informative in this video. I hope you had fun watching it. I hope this gives you some sort of a feeling as to whether or not this game would be for you. But more than anything, folks, have fun gaming, but be kind to one another. Thanks and bye.